Hello. Welcome to the panel discussion. I've been asked to moderate today's panel discussion in the absence of Diatech. I know it's late, and this is, I suppose we've got 10 minutes. It would be a shame to waste the opportunity with all of you on stage. I suppose the first thing that I just wanted to ask was, does anyone else in the crowd have any questions for our speakers? Or does the speakers have any any questions for the other speakers? I suppose. Thank you.
So, hello, I'm Andres Vangel from Neros in Denmark. Thanks everybody for some very interesting insights. I hear a broad range of different software being used. A little bit non-Autodesk, which is always like a shot of fresh air. But I also see us like leaning as an industry, like a little bit vulnerably towards these giants. So how do you see development really in each of your own tech being carried by smaller developers rather than these conglomerates that's gonna own the entire industry in a few years?
Thank you. Yeah, so you are right. Of course, when you develop new products or connect different functionalities in a system, it requires a lot of investment. It's not the same starting a company that's just providing services, for example, that you use human capital for that, than a development team, and then you don't know if a big company is going to develop what you're going to sell faster, and then you won't get that return on investment. But solutions like what BIM Launcher is doing is that bridging that gap, like connecting different platforms. That's where I see most smaller companies developing. But when it comes to the big solutions, because of the amount that is required to invest, there aren't like that many small companies going into that space. Some come and go, but it's hard to like stay, So it's more about finding gaps and bridging those. There are other companies, I don't know if you heard, Encircle Tech is one, for example. Different solution providers that build on top of those big solutions. I don't know if you want to add something.
Yeah, so similar to what you said about connecting the various platforms, I'll say the smaller platforms, the big ones cannot solve all the problems. So basically, in the future, they could provide the enabling environment that all these other smaller companies get on. So for example, the ACC platform, there are a lot of integrations. In fact, based on what she also presented, you can even program your solutions within those. So I see in the future a scenario where they create the enabling environment or the system or the operating system more or less, and these other smaller companies leverage that system too. So solve more problems in the industry.
Come to you next. Yeah, just my 2 cents on that. BIM Launcher is the third company that I've founded. The first one was a BIM consultancy. We worked with a large contractor to build, I suppose, a CDE that could be used by their organization. One of the stories that I could share about that is that it was going quite well until Autodesk walked into the room. And that's something, as a small company, you can't compete against. The resources that they have and the access to decision makers, along with all the experience that's needed to actually sell such a solution as a CDE. It's something to be mindful of. And I suppose my second company was an app store with open source construction applications, specific, open source issue management, issue clashing, messaging applications, and so on. Once again, the challenge came that each application competed with an existing solution within a particular organization. And then BIM Launcher came along and decided to flip the whole thing upside down and just connect the dots. And yeah, it seems to be working. But yeah, there's quite certainly a platform ecosystem at play. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Sorry. To answer to you, we are working with very big companies as doing consulting, and what I feel is that there are companies that are more willing to risk, to innovate, and sometimes they are willing to try platforms and softwares for smaller companies because typically have more disruptive ideas beyond them. And other companies that are more resistant to innovation and they have to want to have more secure information, more secure process. With a mature company, go for Autodesk or other software vendors that are more consolidated in the market. So, but it's really important to both coexist because most of the times Autodesk buy these small companies and then integrate these solutions with another brand inside of their own solution. So I think it's really important because if they are not the smaller vendors, then the industry will not innovate. One great example is Navisworks. Navisworks is the same since 2010. There is one unique new feature there. And now Autodesk is bringing coordination, collaboration, and so on, but it took like almost 14 years to make it. So it's too long, and maybe they only start doing this because BIM Track, BIM Collab, other softwares start to show that this is a need. So only to answer to you, I think there are space for both. There are big companies that are willing to try, develop their own apps and make such innovative and disruptive process, and others, or in specific projects, they prefer more mature technologies that take the risk of these innovative processes.
I'd say that another use case would be like niche applications. For example, something that is particular to what you were mentioning, systems, engineering, or something for oil and gas industry. They use AWP. I don't know if you've heard about that, advanced work packaging. So very niche solutions. Also, you find smaller developers because a big company is maybe not going to focus on that too much, but like you said, different ideas then, develop the solution as a whole.
So just to add my contribution, I think from my point of view, the key will be the use of open standards, so open BIM, working directly in a native way on the standard formats without have to translate from your proprietary format to the standard one and then back. So working directly in IFC as an example. So in this way, maybe the tools that you are going to use is less crucial as a decision because you are able to work directly in the open standard format. Obviously, it's not easy to figure out how the market will evolve, but maybe using open standard, interoperability, and also enabling very well popular, or how to say, very well defined workflows. This can help so that the choice of the software that you are going to use is less crucial when you have to decide using a solution from a big or from a small company, because it will not so important maybe, but it will important to use the common approach. So.
Yeah, I totally agree that there is space for both, so I won't be going into that. I only say that on average, how many projects do you think are now governed by common data environment in the world? Is it like 5%, 10% of all the projects in the world, right? So there is a huge pool, still to be governed, and I concur that, Open API, which is a part of the Building Smart initiative to link those, and you can see all the time, new smart solutions, very agile solutions. I don't want to use names, but there are smaller common data environment platforms coming up all the time, and some of them are getting bigger and bigger by the day. And this is thanks to their agility. Going into facility management, for example, whereas for the bigger companies it takes a lot of time to develop solutions for particularly for the facility management or for some, as you said, for some particular functionality. So this agility, and I can see it working with all the vendors there are, that some just respond to your request within a month with some new functionality. I've seen amazing things. Like I posted that it would be nice to have something, and it was there by, in 30 days. Whereas with bigger companies, it's just being dropped in a bucket, and then, we don't need the unlucky ones, So 90% of those comments just are dropped in a bucket, and that's normal, right? Because they've got huge development plans for the next 20 years. But I would also like to point out that there is a trend towards monopolization of the data. And some of the smartest players out there are thinking more about what to get from all of you guys instead of what to deliver to you. And this is very important. It's not bad or good in sense, but I feel I've been talking a lot with the developers, and they are thinking, how can they leverage the data that you are giving to them while bringing you value to your projects and to your companies. And this is something that should be thought about when choosing a solution for a subsequent portfolio or a project. Thanks.
All right, thanks for the question, Andreas. I hope you got your value out of the answers there. We are out of time. Thank you to the speakers and for the crowd for sitting around or staying around rather. Enjoy your dinner, and I look forward to seeing you all later.